Have you ever thought about throwing a virtual event, an online event that you can get attendees to come to and create an experience around? Well, my guest today, Gonçalo Hall, is an expert at creating virtual events. He's been creating events for as long as he can think of, and he talks about different mistakes he's made along the way, the tools, the process, the organization of an event, and also who to collaborate with and how to collaborate when you're creating an online event. From anything that's just a few people to thousands of people. You're going to love this episode if you're into events and wondering what's going to happen to the event industry after COVID. So stay tuned to this episode of Remote Weekly Spotlight with Gonçalo Hall.
We're here for all the secrets that you can give us. And we are live. Gonçalo Hall, welcome my friend, and welcome everybody to another edition of Remote Weekly Spotlight. I'm here, like I said, with my buddy Gonçalo, and I looked up the C in your name because I didn't really understand the little hook. I've never looked that up. That's not like Americans were ignorant to those kind of things, but it's like a French diacritical mark known as a cedilla.
Cedilla, yeah, you know more than me. Yeah. That's good.
Well, I looked it up. This is literally from Google, and it's a way to change the C from a pronounced hard like to us.
Yeah.
So Gonçalo Hall is here today, founder of Remote Work Movement, and I would call you a media and event organizer extraordinaire, someone in the remote space who puts together people, puts together information. And if you look online to a lot of different remote work conferences out there, you will see Gonçalo out there as either a speaker, a contributor, an organizer. I feel like I've seen you in kind of all these places. And Gonçalo, we met at the Running Remote conference, which you're now a co-organizer, last year. And I think we did possibly the earliest podcast in podcast history.
Ever.
At 6:30 a.m., I think, right? Near a pool in Bali. We were both at the same, what do you call it, homestay or
hotel. Kind of.
Hotel. And we met up by the pool at 6:30 a.m. to make sure that we could still get to the conference day on time. So, Gonçalo, my first question to you, I'm curious if you've broken that record and interviewed anybody else earlier than that since us.
No, I was interviewed when I was in Bali before. It was like 5 a.m. Because it was for the US, I think. So that was my personal record. But interviewing for my podcast usually is at normal time because usually I don't have conferences afterwards. But running remote was so amazing. There were so many people. And when you record the podcast live, the feeling is so different. Like we were there really fresh in the morning next to the pool and the conversation just flows. So it's like, it was tempting to do more like that. And I hope next year I can go back to Bali and record more podcasts with amazing people, or to Austin, Texas with running remote.
Yeah. Well, let's hope that events are saved and still happen. And I'm curious, actually, one of my first questions is where do you think the event industry goes from here in general?
I think we will have more hybrid, like we have hybrid companies, have hybrid events. We will see more live streaming from of the events, at least from the main speakers. And I think the conference will still exist. Conferences will. There were like 1,000 conferences just popping up everywhere. I'm in Lisbon, and there is a conference every day from a different thing, and it was insane already. It was impossible to book a venue, so it will be stopped for a while. But I think next year, or as soon as travel is allowed and free again, which I don't believe it will be this year. So but I think that I see the events going like Collision Conference, for example. They are doing it live. But they say that from now onwards, they will record everything and they will all have a live stream possibility for everyone. Because I'm in Portugal. Imagine me going to Canada. It's a lot of work, a lot of hours. I can have right now a very good experience in events. Things are improving. It's not only something being streamed on YouTube. Things are really improving with apps like and there is many more that are really bringing an amazing experience. So I think we'll see more online events with amazing quality. In-person event will never lose the magic. So a balance.
And I think that brings up an interesting point that we're seeing in pretty much all industries right now is basically the forced innovation. So the ability to monetize outside of what you normally would monetize. A really good example is something I saw in the Running Remote newsletter the other day, which was that there's these farmers who are offering to add a donkey or a mule or like some farm animal to your Zoom meeting.
Yes.
For like for money, right? So here's the switch, right? It's like goes from like petting zoos or whatever it is that you might be monetizing on site at a farm to how can we create a digital version of this that people get access to, that they'll pay for, and it's causing a lot of experimentation. And I think the key here excuse me, is for people to recognize how they can innovate in whatever their niche is to bring some of their expertise online.
Yeah, so, at least in events, it's all about experience, meaning you want the people who who attend your event, either live or in person, it doesn't matter. You want them to experience some change. You want them to go out from your event a different person, hopefully with the information you gave them. So actually, my events, they're always the same. The online events and the online conferences I'm organizing, they are all free to attend live. There is no recorded talks. Everything is live, which is exactly the opposite of what everyone else is doing. It's not safe at all. It's insane to do 30 talks like in my next conference, which you will be speaking at. It's insane to do 30 speakers in 6 days. Everything live, but the experience from the people, it will be next level, and everything is free. So I'm monetizing with sponsors. I'm monetizing in different ways, which is not pay a ticket and come to the conference. It's like you can access everything for free, but then we have sponsors coming. We had more than 50% click rate in our sponsors from the last conference, which is insane. So we have different ways to monetize, but one thing I don't believe is try to replicate online what you see in an in-person event. That doesn't work. So you do have to be different. And yeah, for events, that's my way, but you have different ways to do it. But everyone can monetize online. Like the world is amazing right now somehow.
Tell me about your decision to do it that way without recordings.
It was more, so my team was against it, to be honest. I was the only one pushing this, but it was everything about my experience. So I attend a lot of events, online, in person. And when I see recordings, I am just not interested anymore. Like there was a conference not so long ago that it was going live, and then all the videos go live at the same time, and you can watch the videos you want. It's like, I can see videos the whole day on YouTube. I have access to everyone on YouTube. Everyone is creating content. It's everything there. So it's not about seeing videos. It's not about watching information. It's about the experience, and the experience of having 200 people connecting with a speaker that is answering the comments and is engaging is 10 times better than just have recordings and then put them there without any engagement. So the risk is huge, of course, but the reward is amazing.
It's so, I mean, this is such an interesting topic because I would never think that you should do a conference without the recordings, because the recordings, for people that can't make the live ones.
But we have it. We have it. We have the recordings.
Okay, so you're not distributing tell me.
No, so the business model is like you can watch everything live for free, but all speakers are live. If you want access to all recordings plus some perks, then you have to pay.
Okay. I literally thought you're just not recording anything, and it's just
no. Then you lose a lot of information as well. So the goal is exactly then. People probably will not watch 5 hours a day a conference, let's be honest. So they can watch everything for free, but if they miss something, you get for a very cheap price 30 speakers in your inbox.
Yeah. So Jesse from LinkedIn here had an interesting statement about wondering if there would be any new avenues for digital networking since in-person events are no longer an option. So what do you think are like these new avenues that come out of COVID and what comes next?
So, for example, Hopin, which Hopin.to, I believe, where we organized the running remote, we had a network.
Which texted me like a million times.
Yes. So we had networking, and it was insane. It was amazing. I met people from Nigeria, from Australia. I was there 12 hours, so I met people from all over the world. through that networking application that they have inside. And I'm also organizing exactly by the same reason. I'm organizing some masterminds and some meetups, online meetups, where we gather remote work experts and everyone is changing ideas. Usually, although I'm very engaged in everything related with remote work, there is always one or two persons you meet in every single event. Then you schedule a call, and you get to be very proactive. But I see the best apps for online events having always a networking option. And for example, another guys that do it very well, and I'm blanking on the name, they have you can go there and you have round tables, and you can just sit on a round table with random people, and you can have this networking session online. We are doing the same in our event this time with that application that I totally forgot the name, but they are really cool. So we will have a networking session for 3 hours during our next conference, where people can just sign in and talk with random people. We'll have sponsor booths, we will have speakers there, and people can just connect with different people and get to know them. So it's very important. It's not the same as connecting in person, but I see a lot of new businesses and a lot of new connections happening, even if it's online.
I think what would be interesting too is talking a little bit about the inner specifics of how to create an experience within an online event, right? So you're talking about it right here. So you've got these round tables, right? So someone comes into this experience, it's an online experience, it's all live for free, but then you can go and sit at a round table. It's I'm envisioning you get into the platform and then there's all these tables and you pick which one. But is that how that happens? But why, how are you segmenting those?
So right now, for example, for the networking, you do have to pay because you want only interested people. It's super cheap, but by having to pay, instead of 1,000 people, you have 100 highly targeted people that really want to meet other people. And also they pay to have access to some speakers. And that's how I'm attracting people to connect. And we also always have a mediator in every table. So there is always a responsible for the table who is making the conversation happen, who is engaging everyone. Things not always happen by themselves in remote work. So having this person that is a mediator in every table, at least imagine 10 tables, we have a mediator, and then in the other tables, we don't have anyone. So people can actually choose. But having someone who is in control of the conversation, he's not the highlight. He's just the person in charge of saying, "Hey, Jordan, what about you? What you do? Where are you right now? What are you looking for?" It's super important to have this very proactive approach to networking.
Yeah, and you definitely want everybody to feel like they're getting value out of paying to be in that environment. So Bhagesh Rashi said that AirMeet. Is that the name of the app, AirMeet?
It's not, but I just remember it's Remo.com, I believe. Remo.
Okay.
Yeah, we did some conferences on Remo. They are very into remote work as well, but it was Remo. But probably AirMeet will do the same.
So Gonçalo, I wanted to take a step back and let's look at before all this. When did you realize you had a passion for organizing events, and why do you do it?
I was thinking about that lately a lot. So because I just do things, I just go. I don't care. I don't think too much. I have an idea and I go. But it started when I was organizing beach volley events. So there was a thing here in Portugal where the National Federation of Volleyball told you that you cannot organize events. You cannot organize beach volleyball tournaments. And I was like, can't you? So I started to organize a full beach volleyball tour when I was 23, 24 years old, 5 tournaments in the middle of Portugal, sponsored by the main beer brand around here. And we had more than 100 people in our tournaments, in each tournament, while the National Federation was having 40 people, and they got really mad. But I think it started with this passion from bringing something I know it's useful for everyone. In that time, it was beach volleyball. Now it's remote work. So it's really bringing something that's useful to everyone and that I know of, and just bring to the specific public that is looking for that. So in the case, there was another beach volleyball tournament called Beach Volley Around the World. They did it around the world, and I loved the environment. People got drunk in the evening. It was not like for the money. I had no prize money. It was about people that love something getting together in one place and enjoying together that thing. So it applied for beach volleyball back in the days. And after watching Running Remote in Bali, I decided to organize my own conference here in Portugal about remote work for 300 people in a country that barely have remote work, or had back in the days. It was 6 months ago. Like, remote work was not a thing in Portugal at all. So because running remote was an experience, a very strong experience for me, because I met you, I met a lot of amazing people. I met Liam, I met Igor. There was just like an insane amount of interesting people I met there. I thought, we need to do this in Portugal. We need to get together 300 people talking about remote work, watching the best in the world. And we need to do this in Portugal so things can grow here. So I decided to organize a conference here with no experience organizing conferences. It's like zero. I had nothing. Like the same with beach volleyball tournaments. So it's a lot about sharing. It's a lot about, I know this because I'm in a specific environment, and I know I want to share with more people. And I find events are the best way to do it. Instead of just creating content, when you create events, you get together people around the same passions. And that's really strong.
Yeah. I'm curious how many people that are watching have created their own events. So if you've created your own event, or if you're looking to create your own event, drop that in the comments of like the type of events that you create, or the type of events that you want to create. And what I'm curious with you, Gonçalo, is that you have done, I mean, how many events would you say that you've planned now in your life?
In the last,
is that fair to ask?
Too many. No, it's not, because if you go to beach volleyball tournaments, remote work,
so years of experience,
too
right?
many. Yes, like without noticing, but yes.
So what I would ask is, like, what are the different mistakes that you've made along the way, and what are the lessons that people watching this, anyone can learn from those mistakes?
So I made all the mistakes in the book. I'm very good at making mistakes. So the biggest mistake I did for 2 times was choosing the wrong partners. So I decided to start collaborating in everything. So everything I do by default is a collaboration. I'm not doing anything by my own anymore, because I'm a ENTP, the guys who know about Myers-Briggs. No, but basically I'm very good at starting. I'm very bad at implementing. So the only way I can actually build events, and the only way I can build something, even a company, is by collaboration. And by default, all my collaborations are divided exactly by everyone. So imagine if I have 4 people, it's 25% of profit for everyone. There is no, I don't get 50 because I got the idea. It's like, it's spread by everyone. So the biggest mistakes were doing this with the wrong people that stayed with the money, people that were not correct and tried to steal the brand. And people are very, very important when you are organizing an event. It's a high stress environment. The last month is really, really high stress. So not getting the right people on board right from the beginning was it was a very expensive mistake I did a couple of times. And that was the biggest one. The other one, just, I'm a procrastinator. I do too many things at the same time. So sometimes when I don't have someone from operations in front of me saying, you have to do this today, you have to do this now, things can be postponed, and the last 2 weeks can be really, really insane. So I'm getting better at it. I have an expert with me who is planning everything. Even before we started, we had an Airtable with every single step, from the starting of the event, promotion, the end, the after promotion. We had everything. So but the biggest mistake was not finding the right people and starting a big event with people I didn't know before.
Yeah, that's interesting. And for all the people there's a couple people that responded in the comments. I'm wondering, are you going to be doing this event yourself, or do you plan on collaborating? Because it sounds like that's an initial first step, is just having the awareness of, are you the type of person who can do this by yourself and coordinate the entire event, all the logistics, have the operational mind, have the marketing mind, have I get that could be a huge struggle sometimes, because I'm very much creative, like dreamer type person.
Yep.
And but I do implement. And I had owned an event company in Portland, Oregon for like almost a year. And we ran events, and I had a partner, and he was like very operations focused, very financial focused. That's what I needed. So you may think, at the beginning, when you're going to be starting an event and running an event, I think one of the huge things to ask yourself is, do I have all the resources that I need myself, or do I need to collaborate with someone? So let's talk about that. How do you then determine, you obviously had some red flags that you maybe should have watched out for. So what are the red flags? And then how do you actually find the person that you can do events with?
So I believe you need at least 3 people to organize at least a big event or a medium event. You need definitely someone from operations. It's like, without someone from operations, things will be out of control for sure. You need a creative for doing all the marketing, for the design, for the website. It's very important to have someone creative, and then you have to have a connector, someone that knows people, someone that is really good at connecting with people, bringing people along. I am definitely the connector, and I brought people from operations and creative to help me into organizing these events. So red flags for me is doing things for money, people that want to organize events for money. Liam shares this a lot of times, like, that you can win money at events, but very rarely to be in the first 3 years. You can do it long term, but in the beginning, you have to do it by the mission, and the mission is very important. Do the other people that are working with you have the same mission like you have? It's the same mission, or are they doing it for the money? Are they doing it to get famous? Usually those two are not very good to organize events.
Yeah.
And another red flag I get a lot of times is when people and companies are not interested in what you are doing. So I'm organizing events right now. It's everything about remote work, B2C, B2B, different countries. Everything is remote work because it's my biggest passion. When I try and connect with companies that are in the same space, people get excited and they want to sponsor my events. And for me, this is like a thermometer. It's like I can see the temperature of the market through the sponsors and through the companies. And if they are interesting, if they want to put their product in front of my public, I know that I'm in the right direction. So if you don't have anyone that wants to promote them even in your event, something is wrong, or with the public or the target that you have or the market, something is not right. So get the right companies on board, even if it's like for $300, something like that in the beginning. Like, it's nothing for companies, and just test it out really, really cheap. Also do partnerships. Partnerships are everything in events. Partnerships, I did a partnership with Selena. They helped me promote everything. For example, I had partnerships with newspapers, with people. They are the ones bringing people over to our event. So yeah, if you see that you are trying to have these people on board and you are not able to, you have a problem. And it's a huge red flag that maybe your event is not right for the market.
So when you pitch these sponsors or these partnerships, can you give me a little bit more of a idea of what that looks like?
So right now I have a sales deck, but it helps to know a lot of people. Meaning, instead of just sending a cold email saying I have this event, I'm connected with a lot of people in the market, in the different companies, create connections I did through LinkedIn, through running remote, through different events I organized. I always get very good connections because we deliver, and I keep that connections warm on LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn, best tool ever. It's essential for all this. And then I just talk first with the people, and I say, oh, I'm organizing an event like this. It's a 6-day conference, B2C. We are speaking about these different teams, and we are doing this because of this. So explain your why, explain your what. Why are you doing it? What is your mission, and who is your targets? After that, they already, if it's their target, they will be already, okay, this looks cool. Send me more information. So then you have to have a proper sales deck with everything I mentioned, the prices. You have to do nice packages. When you build these packages, you need to think, if I was a brand, what do I have to gain by sponsoring these events? Is it
Yeah.
visibility? Will they put a link and people can click a link? So, for example, in my online conferences, I'm the MC, and we always do introductions about the company. So all the sponsors have to offer something to the audience. It may be 50% in a VPN, whatever, but they have to offer something. We don't accept sponsors that are not offering a product or a service. So in the beginning of the talk, imagine you were the guest. I say, this talk is sponsored by Selena. You have 50% in Selena. If you book until the end of the month, just click this link right now and you can schedule 50% in Selena for this month. And people click. More than 50% of everyone in the room will click the link and will see what is Selena about, even if they have no idea. If it's, for example, a hosting website, I will tell that no business will start without a hosting. So I give a whole context on why that sponsor is important. And that's why they pay me, to get people to their website, to get people interested in their products. So it's very important that you don't think that sponsors are there to give you money. When they give you money, they're paying for a service. They're paying for visibility. Right. They're paying for something. So you have to give them. If you don't give them, they'll never sponsor you again. If you just not give them, but give more than they bought, than they got, than they want to buy, then they will be amazed and they will stay with you forever. So that's what I try to do everywhere.
And I think that signifies what you've been saying all along, which events in general are long-term plays. They're not money grabs, right? They're not something that you do if you need revenue. Events are social proof. They are long-term viability. They are relationships. They are connecting. They are platforms for you to show who you are, but they're not, again, to make money. So I think I like how you had the two-step process, right? It's like, hey, let's kind of get their beak wet on what this is about, who it's for. And if they're interested, I'll send them the details. Because I think one thing that a lot of people do, and this is for everything, right? This is for job applications. This is for sales pitches. It's like they don't get an upfront yes, and they don't get permission to sell. So the whole concept of permission to sell is that I'm going to get an initial yes from you for something that's a lower stake, right? Like something that's not a huge deal. Like, hey, I have information. You're selling the ability to give them the information about the conference. You're not selling them the sponsorship. So then once you get to the place where it's like, yeah, sure, we'll see some more information. Now you actually have to sell the service and the benefit, right? Of like, it's not looking at it as of, hey, you're getting this for this. It's like, hey, you're getting this, which is 10 times more value than what you're paying. And that's really what has to go into sponsorships.
It's mandatory, man. It's like, and yeah, the same like you said, I don't do cold outreach for sponsors. I never did. Again, I connect with a lot of people, and when I ask a question, hey, I have this, imagine the next conference I'm organizing is like a 6-day conference, B2C, about remote work, to empower people to work remotely in the different ways that you can work: freelancing, remote work, full-time, online business, etc. When I go to a sponsor, first it has to be a sponsor that has interest in B2C. Who are they? Maybe not, and through it. And so I try to people to show up in front of my audience. Front of my audience, and that's really, really, really quite easy to always someone who knows someone.
Hey, Gonçalo, you're cutting out a little bit on my screen. You're spitting too much fire, dog.
I'm moving all over the place, so I think it's okay. Stable now.
I can see you now. Yeah. I missed part of what you said there, but if you can summarize it, what were you saying?
So basically, I'm first see who would be perfect to show up to my audience, which companies would love to target 10,000 people that are looking to start working remotely, for example, or digital nomadism. And then I go speak with them on LinkedIn. And yeah, I never do cold outreach. I always go through LinkedIn. If you know someone And then I'll ask you, hey, do you know someone at Skillshare? Yes, no, maybe. And someone knows someone always. There's like our LinkedIn and remote work are it's very small world if you are really active, and remote work in specific, it's a very small world. So there is always someone who knows someone that will help you with it if your mission is right.
Who would have thought that networking would have been important?
Surprise.
It's pretty much the relationships we have in this world are the foundation of everything. And this show, literally everything, every time I talk to somebody, it comes down to relationships at some point. It's like that's the main part of this, is like building relationships that can help you achieve the goals in your life. Now, I want to kind of switch to the second half of this interview to more about actionable things that people on different ranges of experience can do. So we've had a few people ask some questions as well. And I want to preface it with this question. So I'm sure a lot of people that are on this have attended conferences, have been parts of meetings and events and things like that. But for someone who hasn't created their own event or wants to get better at the online events that they are creating, how would you recommend doing that?
The first thing is attend others' events and see how you feel. So go to Running Remote, go to our event. There is a lot of online events, and see which ones do you like. And if there is 3 that you really enjoy, copy the best things, the best 3 events that you went to have, and do your own thing. There is a really cool idea. Like usually it's impossible to create something new. You just get inspiration from different sources, and then you build your own thing. I 100% believe in that. So I attend different conferences. I attend a lot of events. I get the best ideas from each one, and then I build my own with what I believe it's the best experience I can give. So that's always the first step. Go to a lot of conferences, experience different tools. There is people doing conferences in Zoom, in StreamYard, I do it in live webinar, for example, and just attend a lot of them, see what works, what doesn't work, what you can do, and just start from there. And that's the best way to start, definitely. Attend conferences, meet people. Also the speakers. When you go to conferences that you enjoy, you will meet the speakers. You will see who are the main speakers, who would I love to have in my conference. For example, for me, one of the persons was you. I saw you speaking, I see your stuff, so I want you in my conference. And yeah, I just go there and ask. But because I saw,
because that was going to be a pretty tough ask on your part. Huh? You're gonna be reaching there to get me.
Yeah,
I got enough time for you, man.
I had to pay you a lot, but after paying you, it was definitely okay. But yeah, just go to another event, steal ideas, and there is a cool book called "Still Like an Artist," and I absolutely love it. It's my inspiration to do everything I do. I don't invent nothing new. I still like an artist.
Yeah. I love that, man. I think nothing's original anymore. I mean, the way that you put things together are original, but the puzzle pieces are not original. People are having the same problems. People are doing the same things. Like everything is the same over time. We're just readapting it for ourselves. So, okay. So you go to other events and you check out what other people are doing as a way to see what works. And I think what was key about what you said is how it makes you feel. So what is the experience that you get going to another event, and how can you replicate that in your own way? A couple other questions on here are more about like the tools and kind of getting started with the what was it? Platforms and tools recommended to use for live events. So maybe you can speak to like the different levels, like if it's just a small event, medium-sized event, large event.
So for a small event, I would organize it over Zoom. You can pay like $16 or something like that for Zoom. And I would live stream it on YouTube, and you can send the link for the YouTube channel or the YouTube live stream through your email marketing. Zoom works perfectly, one of the best tools. So if it's just something that you want to put together, promote by yourself, and just go live, Zoom works. That's as simple as you can get. It's super simple to get it live on Facebook and on YouTube. So I would just use Zoom and live stream it for those social media, for example. If it's a medium level, which I believe I will put myself in this medium size events, I have live webinar and Hey Summit, which basically they have integrated all the platforms I need to organize an event. So I have the affiliates, I have the promotion. They send emails to the people every half an hour before the live talk. You have a lot of stuff through live webinar, and it just works. It's not perfect. The quality is lower than Zoom, but for the amount of things, for the whole environment that you have inside the platform, it's really, really strong and really, really good. For high level events, I mean big conferences where people pay you a lot of money, I would use Hopin. Hopin, they are fairly new. They got a big investment from Paddy Cosgrove, the founder of Web Summit. They got, I think, 11 million or 4 to 11 million somewhere. So we organized running remote at Hopin, and still some things to improve. But for big conferences, the networking was amazing. You have the sponsor booths. So it's the most similar platform that you can have to a conference, to a real live in-person conference. So it's super expensive, at least for me. But it's really, really good. The quality was good. The chat works. The networking works. You can have different sessions. You can have a lot of things happening, and the sponsor booths are really, really cool. So that would be the best and the high-end platform for me to organize a really cool conference.
Okay. So let's say that you've got this initial idea from other events that you've been to. You now have some of the tools set up. What's the next step?
For me, the first step is to get the operation right now. Before it wasn't. For me, it was to get the first speakers. But right now we make an overview of the whole operation first. I connect with my team. Now I have a team that gets together for all the events I organized. So get together a team with operations, a creative person, and a connector. And
those
then
are partners, or are these people freelancers you're paying, or?
Always partners. I decided I don't pay anyone. I create collaboration and partnerships. That's how I roll. I don't have much money, so I have to do everything with zero budget. And people love to collaborate, and it's their own skin in the game. You know, if you pay a freelancer, sometimes it's not their own skin. They do good work, but then it becomes a mission for everyone. So then I start speaking with speakers first. I get my first. Imagine if it's a 30 speakers event, I try to get the first 10 speakers. Usually through my network. I invited you. I invite other people that I know that will say it will be an easy yes for me, because they are connected with the mission. We know each other. So I start with 10 easy yeses. And yeah, but interesting people and very clear topics on which one we'll speak about. It's not just, hey, Jordan, would you like to speak at the conference? No, Jordan, I would love to have speaking about this, because you are an expert in this, and this is what my audience is looking for you. And of course, I give you always something cool for you. I don't want you to speak for free. So you can do a push message in the end. You can send people to your own website. You can make a discount. The floor is yours. We hope to have 10,000 people. Just make it count for you as well. Grow your email list, do everyone for you, and we give you always this possibility. So I get the first 10 speakers, and only after that I launch the event. I only launch after I have the 10 speakers. For example, my next conference will only launch in 5 days, because I have now 12 speakers. It's a 30 speaker event, and I want to reach the 15 before. And only then I will reach out to the sponsors. Only after I have 15 speakers, or half of the speakers, I will reach out to the sponsors. I have this conference. It will be in these days. I have these amazing people speaking at. Would you like to be a part of it?
Yeah. Let's talk about access, because, well, there's a couple different things, right? Like, one of these is that some people might not have the access to these speakers. So how do you close the gap between maybe not having access to a certain speaker that you like, and then actually getting them to speak at your conference?
For me, it became part of my mission at work ethic, I guess. Meaning, very often I comment. I have a list of people. Can you see me?
It froze for like 1 second. I see you now.
I guess. Imagine
Can you hear me, Gonçalo? Gonçalo. So we'll take a. Okay, there he is. Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
I could always hear you. I'm not sure what's happening, but it just reloads both videos somehow for some reason.
So
you can
we're
hear
just.
me now.
Yeah, I can hear you now, and we just got into the like how to get speakers.
I'm on LinkedIn for so for example, for my first conference here in work, Igor from Running Remote production to a couple of people I would really want to have in my event. And and then if you know that
So Gonçalo, on your end, it's breaking out a little bit. So I think I got a little bit of what you're going to say. So I'm going to try to summarize it for people who are watching, and I'll speak to my own experiences for 1 second. And Gonçalo will come rejoin the stream. So essentially what he was saying was that using LinkedIn, there was kind of two things there that I believe he was saying. One of them was that LinkedIn is obviously a really good place to engage. So you're engaging with people's content who are maybe a speaker that you don't necessarily have access to, and making sure that you're staying familiar and you're subconsciously becoming familiar to them by engaging with their content, and then finding those connections where you have someone who you know who already does know them, that you can get that warm introduction. So those two things kind of in parallel I see as things that have really worked for me. So Gonçalo, you're back.
Yes,
would you like to comment on that?
Yes, it's exactly that. And yeah, but I would always try to get the first 10 into your network, people that you saw in events, that you have some connection. The first 10 are very important, because that will be the base to then reach out to the second tier of people, which is people that you don't actually know, but they will see the first speakers that are there and they will trust your event. So if someone knows Peter Levels, I'm still looking for him and trying to invite him to my conference. Maybe someone here knows him. I don't know him.
Luck.
I don't have a connection. But I really want Peter Levels in my next conference. So if someone here is nice enough to have a direct connection, I would love to invite him over.
Okay, so we had a few questions here. So I want to keep going along the stream. So far we've talked about first figuring out figuring out what kind of event you want to do, right? And then figuring out, do you have the capacity to do this event by yourself, or do you need a team? And then you find people that you can collaborate with that fill the gaps with the other types of things, right? Like designers, creatives, operations people, marketing, filling in all those gaps so that you have someone who's responsible for each one of those, and kind of figuring out, hey, what are the tools that I need to use based on how big this event is going to be? What are the platforms? So you have the event, and we have a couple of questions on what to do to keep people engaged after the event, but I'm curious to get people to the event and getting an audience at the event, which is super important. Like, what are the steps for that?
So the first thing we do is we offer 50 or 30%. We offer a part of if somebody buys in the future, we offer the affiliate link to the sponsor, to the speakers, for example. Imagine you have 30 speakers. Each speaker have their affiliate link, so they are engaged and they really want to promote the event. So usually speakers, they already have a big network, and that's where at least 50% of everyone will come from all the speakers. And if someone buy, they get the money, which is cool for everyone. Then I go to the second part of it, which is partnerships. I do partnerships with companies, with media companies, with websites. I think they have a cool community. For example, in remote community, Work.from has a very strong community of remote workers. There is many more like that. We Work Remotely have a very big email list, for example. So if you can partner with those websites, even without the money from sponsors, they have a lot of people under them. They want visibility as well, and you can exchange the visibility by their contacts, and that's the second layer. And the third layer is, you just promote it everywhere and you create content. It's slow, but if you do it well, people will start sharing and it will work.
What's that time frame from the moment of like conception to like this idea to it actually taking place?
in my conferences, which are medium conferences with 20, 30 people, from idea 3 months, from starting to work on 2 months, 2 months and a half.
Okay. So it could be a pretty quick turnaround. For even a relatively big event.
But I'm crazy. Don't do it like me.
Yeah. Don't kill
it's
yourself.
Very stressful. No. I'm organizing 3 events right now. So don't do that. One at a time. 5 months to prepare everything. You'll be amazing. Yeah, 2 months is fast.
But what's interesting is if you do it too far in advance, you risk a global pandemic totally taking you out. So.
Yeah, good point. Do it online.
So so always maybe just do it online. Okay, so you've had the event, you've facilitated. So is there any tips on like actually facilitating the event so that people feel that experience? What have you noticed that's effective there?
I believe that you need an MC in the event, someone that be there, that knows the people, that can ask questions. And that is really important to make people engage, to make people heard. In the when you are speaking, actually are commenting something, people just every single hour on the chat, just answering, just recording the questions, write them down to ask you later. And I just make that role of the animator in service. And I do believe that you need that person if you want to have engaged audience. If you just want to put some videos, it will not be amazing. You can do it. But if you want to do like really something amazing, having this person, an animator, an MC that connects with people, that introduces the sponsors. The only reason why I had 50% click rate into my sponsors was because I was introducing them with a personal story. For example, Revolut, I showed my personal story that my card got copied schemed in Bali for 2 times, and they just sent me a card in 3 days. So you want to have these guys with you. If you really want to open a free account, just click here. Everyone click there. You create your own story. I created my own stories. It was true stories, so we really showed well the sponsors. But if not, just create the story. You want to start a company, you need a domain. So check these guys. They offer you 50% in your first domain, blah, blah, blah. Just create the story. Why should people click on there? And there is just engagement. Ask questions, answer questions in the chat. Be there for them. It's just not about the speakers. What I saw in all my events is that you start creating a community in the live chat. There is a community happening there, and they want to meet each other. They want to connect, and you can see people almost in the last day. People were like, "I'm so sad. This is the last day. I got used to come here every single day and connect with you guys." People already knew each other by their nicknames on the event. And that can only be created if there is someone facilitating and pushing that, asking questions, answering in the chat, giving the voice to the event. Should be a face of the event. I was not the only one organizing the event, but I was the face of the event. So if you don't have a face, then you have a problem, because
that's huge.
Who is this event from? Yeah.
And I think as someone who may be organizing an event, you may not want to be the face too of that, because you're already dealing with, say if you're on the operations side, you're already dealing with so much of the operations, and maybe you're dealing with all the marketing. And if you could find someone who is a natural, who's experienced with keeping people engaged and keeping the room facilitated, there's an art to that, right? And there's a very high need for that dead space in between speakers to be filled with something valuable, so that people feel that they can get that experience. And then you got to get them to the next talk, because if you let that dead space hit and people have their option to just leave, you're going to have probably massive dropout.
Yes, and in live webinar, you actually have to change a link. So it's not everything in the same room. So you have to close that window and open a new window. So by the end of the talk, when you finish speaking, I say, yeah, guys, this was sponsored by company X. Right next, we'll have Jordan speaking about this. And if you really want to know how to solve this, you should definitely connect. See you in 5 minutes in the next conference, in the next talk. And people just go. I have barely someone drops out unless they really have to go offline.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now I want to get to some of these questions that we had, which, so you've done the event and you're in a position where you want to figure out what to do. So after the event, what's kind of the follow-up strategy that we're doing?
So I do email marketing and a lot of social media, meaning email marketing because with our sponsors, we also want to promote them after the event. So after the event, we still make, for example, a promotion where you can get the price for the access for everything at the early bird package. So imagine it's like $99. You can still have it until 40 hours after the conference is over. So that gives people time to gives urgency and gives people time to think and to see if they really want to do it. So we push through email. And after then, long term, we start doing email marketing. So every single week through my last conference, we send an email with an offer from some sponsor, with some news and with something that we learned from, for example, a speaker. For example, we learned this from Cristiano, and Cristiano talked about this. If you want to have access to his talk, you can buy just his talk for $9. And I keep doing every single week until the next year, hopefully.
Nice. Okay. And then would you say that that's the key to keeping them engaged, or is there anything else that you might do? Is there any other platforms you might switch them to, or is there any introductions you might also facilitate, or how do you keep people engaged? Because I see email as kind of a good follow-up strategy, but I see it as more passive and people kind of just reading it. But how do you keep them actually engaged with either that content or each other?
One really good idea. I didn't do it, to be honest, because I have my own group, like you have your own groups. But one idea is to create a Facebook group where you can put everyone from this community and you can keep the discussion going. You can put some interesting content. You can put short versions of the content. Imagine a 1-minute video from one of the speakers, and when he speaks about something very specific, and you can do it inside the group. If I want to move them to anywhere else, I would move them to a Facebook group and keep the connection there, but always with the email. Email marketing is very underrated, but it works.
Oh, it's the pillar of it's the pillar of everything. It does work. It's one of the primary drivers of my business for sure. But I think when I see it, it is just there's just so many other creative ways to keep people engaged too. So I think I wanted to just make sure we covered those. Cool. So where do you go after that? Like, you've got this awesome event done. You've done some follow-ups. Is it straight? Like, how do you evaluate? Should I do another event, or was it successful?
So successful. We have our own goals, number of people, the feedback. We always ask for feedback in the end of the event through a questionnaire. So we see what we have to improve. For example, in the last event, the worst rated thing was the platform. Everybody loved the event, but the platform sometimes broke when we had like a round table. So the platform got 4.2 out of 5. The rest of the conference had 4.9. So, okay, it was an amazing conference, but we have to look into the platform. And then maybe organize another one next year. Right now, I'm just organizing different ones for different people. I'm organizing this one in English B2C. I'm organizing a remote conference for B2B in Brazil. I'm organizing a remote startup conference in October. So I get this hype from organizing events, and I really like to do it. And that's how we roll. Maybe next year I will just start yearly event with one of these ideas, with the one that works better. But from now, I'm just creating events out of fun. And of course, you get some money, but it doesn't pay for the time you put into the business for sure. For sure. Like, we got each one in the Portuguese conference. In the last one, we got like 1,000 euros each, which is nothing for 3 months of work, like really hard work. 4 months, 3-4 months of 3 months. And something of work.
To even know that you were profitable is actually quite impressive.
That's the good part of online events. Through partnerships, you have very little expenses. I think physical events are very risky, and my experience says that there is a lot of stress because the venues, just by the venue itself, it's super expensive. Then you have the food, then you have the credentials. There is so many hidden expenses that you don't imagine until the day before, and you say, crap, I have to buy this, crap, I have to buy that. And you see just the money going out, coming in. What the hell am I doing? And so the biggest difference from my conference to this online conference, this one was smooth. If we get no money, we get no money. If no one buys, no one buys. Like, the total cost of the conference was something like 800 euros because we wanted to invest in more marketing, wanted to reach more people. But you can do it for 200 euros if you don't invest in marketing, for example. So but in-person events, the pressure is real and it's insane.
For sure. Yeah. Well, awesome, man. I've had a blast here kind of dissecting your process, understanding more about why you're passionate about throwing events, why people should throw their own events. I think from a high level perspective, events and media and creating platforms for yourself that other people can enter and join and connect with other people or learn something, have some sort of transformational experience. It's not going to go away. People are always going to need that, whether it's online or in person. So if you're out there and you're considering, throwing some sort of event, the short answer is you should do it, but be aware, right? Be aware of what it's going to take, the types of risks you might incur. And Gonçalo, I'm curious to know any parting words here for anybody out there wanting to do this.
This is the first time I speak about how our event. So it was a very, because usually I just speak about remote work lately. So it was very nice to speak about events and something different. Something, to be honest, I didn't know I was a specialist until you asked me about it.
Yeah, right.
Yesterday. We should speak about events.
You see the banner?
Yeah, it was like,
banner, you're like, wait, this is me.
Usually it's about remote work. What Jordan wants to speak about events. Then I start to notice when we start speaking about, I did organize a lot of events lately. That's fun. And so it was fun even to rethink about how I do it. And yeah, I think things are really getting better. So if you want to start to work remotely, my next event, it will be, you can just visit futureofwork.co, and it will be a 6-day live event, online, of course, exactly. It will have, each day has a different theme. The first day is about online an impact in remote work, because remote work can have a very, very cool impact, and we are definitely going to explore that. So if you are interested in working remotely or just knowing more about these different areas, just visit futureofwork.co. We are still building it. It's not official yet, so you are like 5 days in the front of everyone else. Congratulations. Free to listen. And yeah, it's Jordan. And offline everywhere. So thank you.
Awesome, Gonçalo. Thanks so much for coming along. Everybody out there, head over to futureofwork.co. Look out for more information there. A really awesome conference that I'll be speaking at as well. So thanks everybody for joining. If you got more questions for Gonçalo, hit him up on LinkedIn. He is always online over there. And keep wandering. You are not lost.